Hi, I'm historian and author Claire Ridgway, and welcome back to my Tudor Christmas Advent series. Today we're stepping away from the warm glow of Yule logs and wassail bowls and into the brutal cold of Tudor winter, hence my cold-looking jumper. Because the winters the Tudors experienced were nothing like ours. They lived through part of what we now call the Little Ice Age, a period of dramatically colder temperatures that affected Europe and North America from around 1300 to 1870, with its greatest intensity between 1600 and 1800. Imagine facing winter without central heating, without thermal underwear, without weather forecasts, and without supermarkets to stock up in. Life didn't just feel colder, it was colder. But the Tudor response to freezing weather? Well, they turned it into a celebration. So let's explore the icy, extraordinary world of Tudor winters and the Thames frost fairs that became legendary. Today, if a freeze is coming, we get warnings on our devices. The Tudors? They simply had to endure it. Well, we endure it too, but they didn't get the warning. 19th century historian Thomas Tegg recorded some of Europe's most extreme winters, including 1433-1434, when the Thames froze from London Bridge to Gravesend for over 2 months, and 1683, when the river froze for 13 straight weeks. These weren't ordinary frosts, they were deep freezes that reshaped daily life. In 1515, the cold was so severe that carriages travelled on the frozen surface of the Thames from Lambeth to Westminster, and 5 arches of Old London Bridge were reportedly destroyed by ice. And in 1536, Edward Hall's Chronicle describes something remarkable. King Henry VIII and Queen Jane Seymour riding on the frozen Thames from London to Greenwich, not beside it, on the river. That gives you an idea of just how solid the ice could become. When the Thames froze, Londoners refused to be defeated by the cold. Instead, they created something magical: frost fairs. Although the first fully recorded frost fair dates to 1607-1608 in James I's reign, Tegg notes that even in the year 695, the Thames froze long enough for booths to be built. By Tudor times, whenever the ice was thick enough, people celebrated on it. In 1564, boys played football on the Thames and practised archery. Queen Elizabeth I herself is said to have shot arrows on the frozen river. But the most famous frost fair comes later. In the winter of 1683-1684, diarist John Evelyn described a scene almost impossible to imagine today. Coaches plied from Westminster to the Temple, sleds sliding with skeets, a bull baiting, horse and coach races, puppet plays, cooks, tippling and other lewd places. It seemed to be a bacchanalian triumph on the water. Another witness wrote of a whole street of shops built on the ice, selling everything from clothing and tobacco to meat, drink and printed souvenirs. Ladies shopped, men played skittles, some watched bear baiting, children skated and played, and bonfires were lit on the river itself. It was like a great winter carnival, only floating on a frozen artery of London. Richard Cavendish, writing in History Today, paints a vivid picture of the frost fair of 1715-1716. Bonfires on the ice, boats pulled across the river on sledges, restaurants set up in canvas tents, 2 oxen roasted whole, taverns opening drinking booths on the ice, and, more darkly, London's sex trade moving temporarily onto the river. The Prince of Wales and the Duke of Marlborough crossed the Thames on foot with an escort, drawing huge crowds. Not everything ended in merriment, of course. 4 young men decided to walk up the centre of the frozen river and were never seen again. Whether they fell through the ice, froze, or met a darker fate, nobody knew. The final true frost fair took place in 1814, the year an elephant was led across the frozen Thames. Yes, an elephant. But after that, the river never froze again. Jonathan Schneer, in his book The Thames, explains that the medieval London Bridge, with its narrow arches, slowed the water dramatically, allowing ice to form. But once it was replaced with a new bridge in the 19th century, the river flowed too freely to freeze, and embankments in later decades narrowed and deepened the river further. There was one last gasp of the old winter. In the Great Freeze of 1963, the Thames froze upstream at Windsor, enough for children to play bicycle hockey on it. But a London frost fair? Never again. So a Tudor winter could be freezing, dangerous, but also full of resilience, creativity, and surprising joy. Tudor winter wasn't just about hardship. It was about people turning adversity into celebration, a reminder that joy can flourish even in the harshest freeze. Brrr, it's made me feel cold just thinking about it. What's the coldest winter that you can remember, and what did you do to cope? Please do share in the comments. And if you enjoyed this dive into the chilly side of Tudor history, then please do give me a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss my videos as they go live. Keep warm.